sound and power, music, drumming, current affairs, everything to grow and lift up your mind. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis, creating beauty and stimulating change from a constant supply of relevant knowledge and information.
No more youths and youths for sale. We get wise and don't decide to change their style. Bobby wrong, keep your empty promises and your crooked smile. Metamorphosis, come with your thoughts, change your way of thinking. Metamorphosis, the change begins with you.
Black men of Ethiopia, Timbuktu, Alexandria gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth our hands unto God, and princes shall come out of Egypt.
I, son of the Most High, Jah Rastafari.
Keep listening.
Your keep shine at enter this land. We wise and true man stand, sipping from this full cup of peace. Not one shall hit, not one. Your people shall not enter this whole land. We wise and a true man stand, sipping from the cup of peace. You chant down on Babylon. You chant down on Babylon. You chant down on Babylon. Chant down on Babylon. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. You give thanks and praise to the whole man of creation. You chant on Babylon, chant on Babylon. You chant on Babylon, chant on Babylon. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise to the whole man of creation.
StylzFM 96.1.
still in. They're not still in. They're not still in. Greetings. Aquaba. Metamorphosis. In your face. Greetings, greetings. Salutation, blessing. All the ones who are listening to StylzFM. To all the ones who are now tuned in to the talk show that engages thought, to the talk show that engages emotion, feeling, intellect, spirit, vibrations of the mind resonating within the consciousness, reaching to the center that is the I. Yes, Irie, as is. Welcome again to another edition. Hail those who are right here in Port Antonio, right here in the parish of Portland, and then joining parishes of St. Thomas, St. Mary, the rest of the island, and a hail to the people in cyberspace. Yes, this is the Metamorphosis. I'm your host. I'm Dr. Blak. Wasn't here in the last edition, but of course the Metamorphosis continues within self. Yes, the earth is continue to move in its own orbit. Individuals continue to search for their own salvation. Some think the salvation will rest in a divine intervention. Some think that the salvation rests within the consciousness of their own selves. So within the program, we strive to encourage and to motivate and to raise the level of awareness within the listeners that at the center of their being rests an entity that is forceful, that is powerful, that is the foundation of reality. That entity is the I. You know, Virgin asked Guy today, what is the most important thing in the universe? Yeah. I want to ask them to answer that question. What to you is the most important thing? Not on the planet Earth, you know. We're going beyond the Earth now. We're going beyond the solar system. What about the everything? What is the most important thing to you in this everything? I'll give you a chance to think about it, you know. Because it's vital what your response is. Your response will define how you actually conduct yourself within time and space. So we shall deal with that as we go through the program. But, you know, our media is an important source of information. And, you know, recently, there was a headlines that the Zimbabwean President Mugabe and ally of Jamaica had declared publicly that the Jamaican society, the males are suffering from drunkenness. Yes, and the males are so drunk that the women have taken over the society, and everybody rise up and get vexed. The same people who get vexed, the same people saying drink responsibly. Oh boy, may I tell you, what a contradiction in our society. And so we are encouraging drunkenness. But when people from the outside say it, we get hurt. So it's a matter of who say it then. Yeah? But within the metamorphosis, we try to find the reality. And is it a reality that much of our male population is drunk? One of them think about it, you know. And if the men are drunk and the women are sober, who do you think is going to lead? Who do you think is going to be the front guard of the society? But we re-examine ourselves. Look, I figure say, the herb smoking has been diminished to grabber. And the grabber now is being overpowered by the liquor. And Mugabe simply say that, so it really set up. And we want to re-examine ourselves and think carefully about how we're really developing ourselves here. Then, at another level, there, you know, the ones listening know that I have a very deep interest in space. What happens in the galaxies, because I don't limit myself to this plane called Earth. And you know, there was an astronaut called Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong was the first man to set his foot on the planet. You know, that man died, you know. That man died like 2 weeks ago. And that man was buried. You know where that man chose to get buried? He chose to get buried in the sea, you know. So it forced me to think about this whole notion of ashes to ashes and dust to dust. How real is that construct? And do we really come from dust? You know, it sort of rests on our Christian heritage now, you know. Because Neil Armstrong, a man who leave the planet Earth, went to another body, landed on it, walk up and down. When him come back here and dead, he decides him don't want nobody bury him in the earth. That man must know something, you know. I mean, I said to them, no, we have to check out this ashes to ashes, dust to dust philosophy. Because I am maintaining now, say, we don't come from the dust. We actually come from water. Yes, our genesis is liquid. So how did we get trapped into this? We have to bury back into the earth because we come from the dust. It's a Christian mythology. We're going to explore that, you know. Because being buried in the ocean, and we are already 2/3 water, something is resonating in that area. Why are we trapped by this being born from the dirt? Yeah, we have to re-examine Adam and Eve and the whole creation story. So we'll do that again as we continue the metamorphosis. And because under the earth is supposed to be hell, I want to know if under the Mars, if there's a hell there too. Right now, them digging into Mars, you know. That means if them go deep enough in Mars, I'm supposed to buck up Satan. Or Satan only living on the planet Earth. What kind of system is that? We're going to explore ourselves. We're going to explore the stories that we've been given. As a matter of where is hell? Is there a hell on Mars? Or is hell only on Earth? And therefore, who constructed this notion? And can we not therefore remove ourselves from those sort of fabrications? The U.S. Embassy attacked in Libya. And warships are heading there now. Critical times. Earth moving. Metamorphosis. I'm on Blak. The African race. the Metamorphosis also emphasizes that it's about the liberation of the black consciousness. It's about the liberation of the I. And this is the African people who have continue to recognize that we are of the African race. And I'm insisting that we have been bamboozled and confused with this concept of a human race. And so African people begin to no longer view themselves as Africans, but as humans. And here is the trick, because the Chinese people don't see themselves as a human race, they see themselves as the Chinese race. And the Indians are of the Indian race. The Africans are of the African race. And it is the white people that are of the human race. There ain't nothing wrong with being a human, but we have to recognize who the humans are. And the human race is the race of Europeans. And we have to hold on to our African consciousness, the fact that we are of the African race. There are also many academics who try to diminish the concept of race. Now you see, from the sperm release, the race start. Yeah. That's so the construct start. From this, so there is a race. And whoever first get there secures the prize. So we're not going to diminish the notion of race. We're not going to lump up everybody into this one thing called human race. There are different races of people on the planet. What the metamorphosis is about is getting the black race to organize itself. No, we need to try to organize our races to come together, because that's an impossible mission. I think we have to organize our own house first. You set your family first, and the family is the black African race. And so we're not discriminating against other races, because we don't have the energy to fight against other races. There's too much to do to construct and rebuild and to remember our own selves. So as we look at the earth, and we get ready to get into the segments of the metamorphosis, there is a side effect happening with this drama in Libya. Because it forces I again to think about concepts. And the concept that is puzzling me is justice. Because the ambassador was killed, yes, and we regret it. We regret any deaths. And we always do this thing by saying condolences to the people and, you know, the normal rituals. But then the president of America gets up and says, well, you know, we shall have justice. And we will not rest until the killers are brought to justice. And I want we, the black people, now, re-examine this notion of justice. And is it any difference from the whole notion of revenge? Because we have been told that we must not have revenge on those who afflict us. We must leave our revenge to the Lord. Yet the white man goes about and seeks his own revenge and calls it justice. Isn't there something problematic? Isn't there a serious issue? Or is justice something that the white man has disguised as revenge? Because people want to be punished. So why are we playing around with language? And so when people abuse us over centuries and we want revenge, they tell us, no, leave the revenge to the Lord. Because justice will be served. And you wait on justice, and justice just never arrives. So we have to look into ourselves and begin to really hold on to the identity of what it is to be an African people. Realize that we're still on the plantation, struggling for identity, struggling for ourselves. And so within I-word sound, we continue to look at identity. We want to look at the notion of family. Because I hear in Jamaica that family no good. Yet the name of the family resonates through generations. And many children benefit materially simply because of the name of the family. And yet we are being told that family no good. We have to re-examine family, re-examine family systems. What is the African family system? Have we deviated from that? Are we trying to construct ourselves within the European framework and having serious problems? We'll look at that. Here's African World Affairs. I want to talk about the River Nile and African marine technology. Yes, from 8,000 years ago, what Africans are doing in terms of marine life. Deconstructing a couple of mythologies, looking at the book of Psalms. I think this book has what? This book has captured the imagination of black people generally, the book of Psalms. And therefore it has made David into this hero. And the book of Psalms is what people run to when they want refuge. Yeah, it's about God and the people's reaction. People who have been disappointed. And we internalize the Psalms to the point that we are actually hooked on the Psalms. And we're hooked on David. And when we examine David's life, David was a very cruel and wicked man. Why should we keep David now within the pantheon of great kings when we have great kings of Africa? Yeah. So African news, world and news, and within the realm of sports, I want to say quite a bit about the football and the Olympians who have returned. The fact that the Reggae Boys are on the brink of elimination unless they actually get a positive result out of their other match. Schoolboy football is on in earnest, and locally there is a derby in Port Antonio here, Titchfield versus the Compre, and that will take all attention and create quite a bit of excitement. And in our final segment, looking to Skin Deep, looking at what I'm going to call investigating blackness. How do we separate light from darkness in order to understand what is blackness? Very important for people who define themselves as black, what really is the psychology and the science of blackness. Metamorphosis. I'm on Blak, StylzFM. Your philosophy determines your thought pattern. Yes, your philosophy determines your thought pattern. And your thought pattern determines your attitude. Your attitude. And your attitude determines your behavior pattern. And your behavior pattern determines your actions. So your philosophy determines your action. What is your philosophy? Where is your philosophy grounded historically? Is it in Europe? Is it in China? Is it in Africa? What is the foundation of your philosophy? There is power in philosophy. There is power in philosophy. And to what philosophy should black people turn or embrace? Whose philosophy should black people embrace? Is there a black philosophy? Is there a philosophy of blackness? Yeah, within iWord Sound and Power, we use the tools of investigation, of psychology, philosophy, anthropology, searching for the power within through sound, vibration. Your name is a sound. When your name is called, what type of vibrations are generated? There is power in philosophy. There is power in the name. Name resonates within the construct of identity. What is your name? What is your name? If you keep calling a dog Ruggles or Ruffles, in no time, that becomes the sound what identifies that dog. Your name. Grounded in history, grounded in our story, grounded in my story. The story of black people must be the foundation of our name. Because the first level of identity is race. Individuals are recognized by their name to signify their race. Ching, Chong, Yong, Oriental man. Baswani, Singh, Indian man. Thompson, Richardson, Smith and Brown. What happened to Kwame? Your name resonates in your culture. So the name is important. And even before the name, you have a race. And even at the level of the plants, they have their own species. Within the insects, there are species. Within man and mankind, there are races. And it is the African race that has lost its own identity, confused. So when we explore identity, we have to acknowledge that race is the basis. That self-definition is the foundation to racial consciousness. Self-definition is the first step towards the awakening race consciousness. So we have to awaken the consciousness of the race without apology. It doesn't make you racist. It makes you racially conscious. The first step towards self-definition. And then there's gender. male, female. That's what we know. And so within the African race, there are males and females. So there's a racial consciousness that is connected to a land, and that land is Africa. Africa being the land called so by the Europeans. The land was really called the Black Land, the land of the black people. So as we go through the metamorphosis, and we're going to later on explore what is really blackness, we have to establish that, yes, Kemet, the sound that represented Africa, really spoke to blackness, the black soil, and the black people. And so black has always been a positive term 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. The race of people were black people. There was a black race. People had gender. There were males or there were females. The people also had a spirit. And that spirit was a black spirit, a spirit of blackness. It was an African consciousness. It was the identity that recognized the anciency of the land. And so those three levels of identity is what we need to consistently remind ourselves as we remember who we are. So remember, we have been sort of dismembered as a people. We have been dismembered in our consciousness. We have to remember ourselves. The foundation rests at the racial level. But then the first unity beyond the individual is the family. And so what of the black family? What of the African family? What is the foundation of the black family? And I can say unapologetically and unreservedly that the foundation of the black family is the black woman. It is the black woman that is the foundation. And there's no doubt about it. And the black man, male, has no struggle nor conflict with the black woman. She is the mother of creation. So the notion of family is an important element and construction to remembering the black race. You have to understand the importance of family, that the divinities, the cosmological structure of the family really rests in the Trinity. It is an ancient African construct of the Trinity, the father, the mother, and the child, that represented the black family. So within even the notion of the divinity, within the cosmics, the importance of the family resonates deeply. So here we are in 2012. Split families, dysfunctional families, families without males in it, families with females only, families with children from all sorts of different connections. And we have been a broken up society, broken black nation. How do we heal ourselves? First of all, we require knowledge. Knowledge of ourselves. Knowledge of what the family structure should look like. And as African people put on the plantation, our African family systems have been replaced. And what we have been straitjacketed into is this thing called the nuclear family. I want to look at the difference between the nuclear family, which is a European-based family, and the African structure called the extended family. Metamorphosis, identity, through name. The family name, important.
Oh, please, don't you rock my boat. 'Cause I don't want my boat to be rocking. Oh, please, don't you rock my boat. No, no, 'cause I don't want my boat to be rocking. I'm telling you that, oh, I like it like this. So keep it steady like this. And you should know
know, listen to the sounds of Robert Nesta Marley, you know. And Marley seemed to be a man who put some thought into the construct of family. It's an important element, you know, because, you know, to break the chains of mental and physical slavery, we have to organize at a group level, you know. And the foundation level of organization for people, for black people, must be the family. Yeah, so the males and the females are the individuals, but the family now, how do we put the black family together? Because obviously the Chinese people have their own concepts of a family. We see Chinese families. We see how they keep things within the family. We see how they develop businesses within the family. We see the same thing happening in the Indian people, where they build businesses within their own family structures and within their own race. And they actually, some of the Chinese people even have their own burial ground. What about the black people? What is it we are doing towards reconstructing and remembering ourselves? So the family again, back to the family structure. Coming off the plantation, there was no real construct of a family because we were treated as chattel. We were property. So in order to develop a notion of a family, we have to remove the idea of people owning each other. Right? Because within the construct of family, there is no ownership of persons. We can't own each other. So when we think about a family system, it has to be one that is based upon a relationship and a set of responsibilities. The plantation life didn't encourage the black man to be responsible for what he produced, his offsprings, because those are really owned by the owners. So the psychology of being responsible for your offspring wasn't really a part of the education system of the African man on the plantation. So him sort of glorify the idea now of being a breeder. So in being a breeder, the man them have this idea, so they must just go around and just drop sperm everywhere because that has been the psychology of the chattel life. And so we have been producing a lot of children, but not within the framework of a family, meaning there is no responsibility that is ensured and given to the children by particularly the fathers. Because the fathers can easily move away when the mothers have to stay with the children. The mother staying with the children doesn't make that a family. Because the family really requires the male presence. So there's a dysfunctional movement within black family, within black people's lives. What complicates it is religion. Because Christian religion and European philosophy tells black people that they must be monogamous. It tells the black people that we must have one wife and that we must have one husband. And that the ideal family structure now is what we're going to call the nuclear family structure. And if we compare the nuclear family structure with the family structure that is traditional African before we were brought here, they both oppose each other. And in opposition, the nuclear family system has been forced on black people. And in that enforcement, the man has gone berserk in his psychology. The woman has gone berserk in her psychology. They both are trying to own each other. They both begin to view each other as property. Children become pawns in a struggle. And we lose the whole notion of family. Yeah, we have to look into the African system. We abandon this dysfunctional nuclear system.
Oh, twinkling bee, can't see the right roads when the streets are big. The whole slave man might run slow, but it rides fine. Yeah. African hermit, whiling her horn, just concentrate, cause heaven lives on. Retired slave men will look with the scorn, with a transplanted heart. Guess how quick they had to part. The remembrance of today is the sad feeling of tomorrow. Yes, oh yeah, African hermit,
Yeah, we're looking to African people. We're speaking to African people, the black people, particularly those in this island and those in North America and all those across the planet Earth. How do we reconstruct black family? Because there's such a thing as a white family, you know, and there's a Chinese family, and there are Indian families. What is it about the black family that makes us so different? That makes problems within what we call black families. What is it about our concept of a family? But I think at the philosophical level, because it's the philosophy that affects our behavior pattern. The philosophy of monotheism, one God, has compounded African family life right here. Because monotheism and the nuclear family counteracts and fights against the traditional extended family, which is the norm in African society. The extended family is a family system that the Africans practice and live for thousands of years. And within this family system, there's not only a mother and a father, there are aunts and uncles and brothers and cousins, to the point where the child doesn't feel limited to having one quote-unquote mother. All the matured women of the district and the village becomes the mother of the child. And so the child grows within the concept of a unity, a group construct. That if the biological mother dies, the child is not necessarily handicapped. The child has a great amount of support system that surrounds the child. That has been splintered up in black people's life, where we are moving into this nuclear framework and we're disconnecting our extended people. When the mother dies or when the mother gets ill or the father gets ill, the children become wayward because now they can only depend on one parent. We have to explore family life, you know. We have to look at black families. How do we redevelop black family life? How do we take out that dimension of ownership within black people, particularly when it comes to the children? And this battle for who is in charge, not respecting the individuality of these children. The offspring of black people are not our future. It ought not to be this sort of investment. Because we tend to try to hold on to our children and to ensure that when we get old, they take care of us. It cannot be a forced event. The child must feel responsible enough to take care of their extended and immediate family. So within the metamorphosis, we're saying family is vital. Family is important. It's important that we reason, recognize that there will be difference within individuals, but it's in the long run, family that generates wealth, that creates generational wealth, will always keep his members out of the realms and the jaws of poverty. Metamorphosis, family is strength.
Stiff-necked fools, you think you are cool to deny me for simplicity. Yes, you are gone for so long with your love for vanity now. sun and your moon and your rain and your stars and forever, yes, erase your fantasy. Destruction of the poor is in the poverty. Destruction of the soul is vanity, yeah. So stiff-necked fools, you think you are cool to deny me for simplicity. Yeah, yes, you have gone.
Yeah, we're looking within I-word sound and power at the power of the family, the power of the family name. 10, 20 years ago, the name Marley didn't really bring forth the imagery of any power, nor strength, nor wealth. No, the Marley name resonates across planet Earth. The name, the family name, important. So we have to work to build black families, and we have to work to build up the family name. And you know, in coming out of this segment here now, you see when we look at the entire African race, the entire black people, we are really one family, you know. We are one family. Why and how? And if you look at our story, the story of the people of the black continent, there are so many different nations of people, of black people on that African continent, that if we try to use the analogy of a body, even like the human body, and there is arms and legs and face and heart and all these various, what we're going to call members of the body. Then, when the African continent was invaded, it would be okay to say that the continent was dismembered. The family was dismembered. All the various nations were taken to different places, and the family was really split up. What we need to do in this time is to remember the African family people. We have to return the consciousness of the African family. So all African people must recognize themselves. So all of us cannot be Senegalese and all of us are not Ibu, but we have to recognize that we are black people. So the identity issue now is not even so much being of an African family, but we have to recognize our blackness. And it is the blackness that makes us unified within the concept of a family. We are a black family. There are some people who are trying to define this new thing called brown and think that brown is a race. Brown is a color. Yeah, brown used to be a crayon one time. The foundation of the racial identity is not brown. The foundation of racial identity is in our blackness. And the blackness, of course, is a function and a sort of end product of our physiological makeup. The melanin in our skin, the pineal gland in our brain. These are the things that make us black people. We are a black family. We must respect ourselves as a family. The Chinese do it. The Indians do it. The human race as a family, they do it. It is time that the black race recognize themselves as one family. Africa in world affairs. Our story through the lens of the Metamorphosis. And of course, the song or theme song is by Maragini, called The Historian. Always remind us of the greatness of ancient Egypt, and always making a connection between the Egyptians and the pyramids. Because you see, no matter how long they kept us as slaves on the plantation, they couldn't demolish the pyramids. The pyramids were there before we became slaves, before we were enslaved. And the pyramids are there in our emancipation. The pyramids will always be here. And the pyramids were built by I and I, black people. So it is our reference point for remembering blackness. Yeah, it is a reference point. That's why Dr. Ben Yokanan, Cheek Ante Diop, and all of the great writers always send us to ancient Egypt. It should be part of the curriculum in the Jamaican education system. Yeah, if we really wanted to get the youth conscious of their own selves, we would bypass Moses and his mythology and get into the source, which is where Moses also went to get his knowledge, which is in ancient Egypt. So Moses went to the Egyptian university, and he comes out and becomes the leader of we the black people in whose university he attended. Really kind of backwards and mix up. But in the metamorphosis within this segment tonight, I want to just make a little reference to not just Egypt and its scientific and historical achievement, but a simple thing like the river. The river that runs through Egypt is actually the longest river in the world. Now, many people may not understand the significance of that. What is even more significant is the direction in which the river flows. We are told that the river Nile flows from south to north. And I want to think about this carefully now, The river Nile, the longest river in the world, it flows from south to north. We are also told that water flows downhill. Yeah? That's what we know. We don't know any river that goes uphill. So it leaves I and I to wonder now that if the river Nile flows from south to north, then north definitely is not up, because the river is flowing down to the north. So the Nile River, gives us a different perspective, because the European teaches that north is up and south is down, and yet the river Nile flows down to the south. Makes us rethink the whole notion of east-west, north, south, and Middle East. The whole idea of the river, listeners, it's important to see how rivers play a vital role in the development of civilizations. When you look into China and look into India, those great civilizations and cultures were developed alongside a river, the Great China River and the Great Indus River in India. It's the same thing happened in Africa. The great African civilization developed alongside the river. Because you see, what the river does is provide nutrients for agriculture. And wherever you can have an agricultural base, you can have a community. Because food now becomes the foundation of your own survival. So you see, the River Nile is an important river that everybody should know about. And that it is the River Nile that stories of the Christian Bible revolves around. The story of Moses being put in the River Nile and sent down to be found by Pharaoh and Pharaoh's daughter. The importance of the River Nile, the importance of ancient Egypt. We have to claim that. And if we hold on to Moses and his story, we're going to be fearful of entering ancient Egypt. Because Moses becomes the deterrent to Pharaoh. And it is that level of our psychology that we need to reject the notion of Moses. It's that level of a psychology that we need to embrace Pharaoh and the Nile Valley culture. Because the redemption of black people rests in our embracing of the Nile Valley culture. Yeah, the sounds of Ziggy Marley, Black My Story, Black Psychology, Black Philosophy, Black Economics, Black Politics. Yeah, we are reclaiming the black land. Yeah, the black glory, which is our story. It comes through knowledge and consciousness of our own story. You know, they found about 8,000 years old. I just can't remember which African country. 8,000 years old, a boat, which means I and I did know about sailing, had marine technology 8,000 years before the Christian era. You think we're easy? You think we're easy? We are one conscious people. Yeah. No joke about it. Thousands of years we have conquered rivers and oceans and sailed this planet Earth. Yeah, so we just go on party. Yeah, the African people, yeah, we're celebrating being Africans, being black people. Not only in February, but for all times. We're happy to celebrating our blackness. Yeah, we're looking at Africa and world affairs, our story. And it's when you really look and understand Africa, you can't help but being happy, you know. The amount of things that have come out of this black land that has made Earth such a wonderful place to be. You know, culture, civilization, inventions, architecture. And you see, architecture requires great knowledge of mathematics, requires great engineering skills. You didn't know that in the River Nile there's a kind of curve that was put in by engineers to slow down the flow. Black engineering, you know. Yes, we have great technology within the continent, but we feel like white man invent everything. We have evidence of a boat that they found 8,000 years old. Yeah, And I say I can't remember which country. But imagine 8,000 years before Jesus born. We are still here on the planet Earth. Yeah, you know, we have technology, marine biology. And people here making us the impression like we kind of come out of some kind of cave. We see when we look at Ethiopia, the architecture of the church is wooden, the stone carvings. You see the instruments that Ethiopia had, probably laser. The man said, what about laser? After they never invented. How do you know? How do we have, what is the evidence that that technology did not exist? How could a church be cut out of rock? What would you use? Come to people, make us open our imagination and make us think. Technology. What do you think? You think African man used to just jump up at like a Tarzan imagery? We have to reflect on ancient Egypt and ancient Ethiopia. Because guess what happened now? Egypt was just a child of Ethiopia. So imagine the parent. Imagine what was going on in ancient Ethiopia. And if we push the borders of time, we can also go beyond ancient Ethiopia into the annals of Al-Kibulan. Yeah, those are names that reflect the ancient black land. Long before white people came out of the caves, long before the human race evolved from the primates. Because there are other races on the planet before the human race emerged. There was the African race. Yeah, I, original race. And all races from second and third. Metamorphosis, StylzFM. Yeah, the blood of Africa holds us together. The blood of Jesus oppressing and fighting us out. We embrace African blood. Is a family defined by the blood. I want to say the importance of the Blak family. Zion blood. Yeah, the bloodline. Blak bloodline. You must see it as divine. Yeah. Royalty is defined by the bloodline. African people are royal people. We have royal blood. Let us stop the mixing of our blood with these differences. Yeah, let us regroup, reorganize, centralize. Yeah, Metamorphosis here about to come out of our African World Affairs segment. You know, when we look at language and the fact that most of the knowledge of history are given to Christian-minded people through the Bible. And in the Bible, there's great reference to Egypt. There's also reference to Ethiopia. Now, is it impossible for the Europeans to dismiss these two countries? Because too much of the world is centered around the activities of these places. The buildings, the philosophy, the cultures that have come out of Egypt and Ethiopia is for I and I to embrace. The concept of the Trinity, the concept of the virgin birth, all of these ideas come out of ancient Africa. So we can't allow those who capture our ideas to become now the teachers of those same ideas. Surely we shall be confused. We have to return to the source. And the source is really in the knowledge of Ethiopia, the knowledge of Egypt, the knowledge of science and technology as a natural activity of Black people. Astronomy, philosophy, alchemy, chemistry, physics, all the various sciences emerge out of Black consciousness. And so we don't really have any reservation about holding on and speaking to Africa as a place that we're not alien to. As much as the media tries to separate us from Africa, through blood and family, we are Black people. Metamorphosis, StylzFM. I want the hail of a radio station that is transmitting this program out of StylzFM. Hey, this is serious, you know. What the of Splash Radio, 88.7. They're broadcasting the Metamorphosis right out of StylzFM into New Jersey. Well, I mean, I tell you, we call it amalgamate. We call it something. Metamorphosis, we call it. ISIS. Give thanks. Splash Radio. We say every Friday night you do this. All right. I soon come to Jersey. See? Just organize the movement. Brother Stevie Wonder telling us about superstition. And you know, you have to be careful what you believe in, because if you're not sure what you believe in, it can hurt you. Or if you believe in things that you don't understand, then surely your both shall feel it. Now, what about this belief system that we're holding on to called Christianity? This belief system that gives man answers, that provides solutions to daily problems, that a man don't have to think anymore because the answers are already provided in a book. Now, the question I asked earlier, to start the program, what is it that you would think is the most important thing, not only on planet Earth, but in the cosmos, in the everything? But I'm going to make a suggestion that if there's anything more important than the eye, then the eye have a serious problem. Because it is the eye that is really the center of the consciousness. And if the eye is not aware of itself, then certainly the eye is in a state of enslavement. And if the eye is conscious of the self, then the eye is free. So it is the center of reality that defines how you react to things that you perceive as real. Now, you see, mythology, fables, rhymes, cliches, all those are what we call tools of language, tools of literature, particularly English literature, that causes problems in the psychology of the black people who are unable to comprehend the various devices, or the metaphors and the similes and the personifications and all these words that confuse our minds. So here what them do now, them just bring it down into a book, a simple book, and say, look, you see if you have a problem, just go to a certain book and read a certain psalm. Now you see the psalm, I want to take a little review of what is a psalm. Who is the author of these psalms? And do these psalms elevate or do they maintain war and bad vibrations? What is the value of a psalm? People all have psalms open in them house. If you go to people's homes, you see Bibles, and the Bibles are open to a psalm. So what is this psychology of the psalm? Old black minds. Because Chinaman don't read psalms. Them don't know nothing about no psalm. Them don't read David. Them not in no Bible history. So they are free. We're talking about those who have been captivated by these stories. You see the book of Psalms? They said they were written primarily by this king called David. David now comes out of the root of Jesse. And David comes out of the lineage of Solomon. And David is also in the lineage of Jesus. So David knows that kind of star guy. Star boy. Even a star of David. Yeah. You're a star of David. So David is that kind of star boy. And most black people in their training are sort of geared towards honoring and rating David. Most of the heroes of black people come from the Bible. We've been given biblical heroes. We have not been given African heroes, you know. We don't have the black hero, you know. We have biblical heroes. And who are these guys? Guys like Samson. Where them say, use them bare hand and broke open the lion mouth. And then we rate up them man there, and then we hear about Joshua. Them man they stop all the sun. And then we hear about Moses who part the Red Sea. And then Jesus who licked the thing and turned wine. And kind of heroes. No heroes, you know, because women don't do great things, not true. No biblical heroine in the Bible. Anyway, you see these men that we have been given to idolize. Men like Solomon, but he is the wisest man. And Jesus is the most perfect man. And Adam was the first man. And all of these heroes of men. It's in the book of Psalms now. And David was a wicked brother. David had a lust for a woman named Bathsheba. But you see Bathsheba, she already had a husband. No, David was a man of the Lord, you know. That's why I say I don't check for the Lord now, you know. David was a man of the Lord. And David decided, oh, me want to put on a day. Simply put, you know. And this man in his righteousness send the woman husband to war and make the man dead so he could have captured something. And then I know must honor and have homage for this great king. So where is King Akhenaten? Yeah, where is King Tut? Where is the greatness of the black kings? Why do we hold on to these Jewish and Hebrew kings? Consciousness is what we need. But we need to look again at the Psalms. What does it mean when we say that the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want? Are we sheep? Do we not have needs?
Yes, give up our silence.
Yeah, the Psalms, they're away, you know. Check Jacob Miller. Check where my tell us if to do about the Psalms.
chapter a day. Keep the devil away. Behold the heavenly truth. Yeah, 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 yeah. The works of His Majesty I done proclaim. Behold the Emperor. The works is perfect. Perfection is the key to life. Behold the Emperor. Yeah, yeah, now works are beautiful down here in this jet. In this soul sufferation.
Yeah, you see Jacob Miller now telling us that chapter deal what we need. Because you see, we are so locked into the Bible. That is really that book we think is our salvation. And specifically, you know, the book of Psalms. You know, and the book of Psalms speak about some men and their lives and their disappointments with God and their betting with the devil. And the whole idea is that there is always a chance, but there is so much wickedness to fight against that you have to be constantly calling upon the Lord to protect you in battle from your enemies and your frenemies. But the Psalm 23, man, that is one that trap we all, you know. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. It's a heavy psychology that, you know. What do you mean I shall not want? We say we don't always have what we need. It's if you shall not want, you stay in poverty. You stay in poverty if you have no wants. And if the Lord becomes your shepherd, then you have given up your self-consciousness. You have now become a sheep in the flock. And sheep jump over a cliff without any noticing. Sheep just follow. And that's part of this psychology of enslavement that has trapped black people. We've all become followers. The power to lead ourselves has been diminished because we have all turned into sheep. Yeah, where is lion? Yeah, man a lion. Rasta man a lion. I am a sheep. Yeah, so I is no lamb, do no slaughter. I is lion, living on the prairie, kind of living in a jungle leader. So we're changing up the matrix. I want to read the book of the coming forth by day rather than the book of Psalms. I want to read the book of the Egyptian coming forth by day. The white man called the book of dead, you know. But it's really the book of life. What we've been given instead of the book of life is the book of King James. And in that book, it's all about death and suffering and oppression. And you have to read the Psalms, the fighter of evil. And there's always us in this valley of the shadow of death. And the Lord shall protect. It's always a battleground. A perpetual battle. And there's no winner, you know. The winner is really the slave owner. Because he controls the plantation, he controls the property, he controls the wealth. While we are fighting in this spiritual battle. A metamorphosis. Done with the Psalms. They say the Psalm powerful in our culture, you know. All the money I tell you for chant a psalm a day. It's serious, you know. It's not easy to reverse this, you know. It's not so easy to reverse the curse. But on the metamorphosis, we work daily.
It cannot conquer dread, no.
Yeah, so you see the chant of psalm thing, it's deep in our culture. The musicians say it because we have been locked into this belief that a psalm a day keeps the devil away. Imagine that. So the devil become an entity now that can be protected by a psalm. And what is the devil? The devil is a human being, who practices evil. Nothing spiritual, not up in the sky. The devil is a living being. Devils are doers of evil. Anybody that do evil is a devil. Just at one time in Europe, you had an entire race of people called the Devils. There's actually a football team in England right now that is called the Devils. Yeah, Manchester United, the Red Devils. What a thing. Mine the ballers, Mine we not support. Yeah, so we're kind of looking at the mythologies and the cliches. Now, the cliche that I want to look at now is this one that speaks of ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Very, very ominous sound, When people hear that, people say, yes, they don't know. But I want to go a little deeper than the material speech and check the genesis of I and I. Because the biblical story locks us into this idea that we are descendants, or we come out of Adam. And Adam was made from the dirt. And on that basis now, we are dirty people. No, I don't mean like that. I mean, we are people of the dirt. So, I want to also re-examine and rethink this genetic construct of black people. Because the reality shows us that we emerge from sperm and egg. And the reality shows us that we are 75% liquid in our makeup. So it follows in a sort of logical perception that our source would have to be at least 75% water too. That our genesis should also have an environment that is more liquid than solid. But no, Christianity tells us that we are from the dirt and that we must be buried in the dirt when we die. And earlier, mentioned about Neil Armstrong. I spoke about the people who recognize the importance of cremation. And I've talked about the Muslims who who bury within 24 hours. But is there any reality that man really came from the dirt? And if it is not true, then the mythology, the fable of Adam and Eve, would fall out of the window. So you see the whole thing connected now, Once we begin to recognize that we have a watery genesis, then Adam and Eve's story get a beaten. And the Garden of Eden start wash away. Serious thing, We are challenging the myth that man came from the dirt. And we're challenging that with the scientific and the practical experience that man comes out of a liquid environment. We also have evidence that water is more prominent on the planet than land. So, what does it say? Isn't it therefore proof in reasoning that the genesis of the black man is not from the dirt? The genesis of the black man is from liquid, it's from gas, it's from the word. Because in the beginning was the word. Word is wind, word is water, word is gas, word is elements, word sound is power.
Rally round the flag, rally round the red, gold, black and green. Rally round the red, gold, black and green. Marcus say, red for the blood, flowed like a river.
Yeah man, I have to re-heal up. Radio, Splash Radio, 88.7, coming out of New Jersey. I'm on Blak and the Metamorphosis say, more power to the idea.
I and I
Yeah, the destiny is for the liberation of the blackness out of consciousness. And before the program done, we're going to go seriously in investigating blackness. And in order to do that, we have to separate light from darkness. And once we begin to make that separation, it will be easier to see what is the blackness. Before we leave this segment, I just want to touch upon an issue that has been perplexing my man. It's all about this symbol called Jesus. And this symbol could also be classified as a sex symbol. Yes, Jesus. Because the women have a high amount of sexual energy directed at Jesus. High amount of sexual energy. Particularly women them who do have no man. And for the women who are not engaging in sexual activity. They have them energy, they have them feelings. There is no physical man to direct it to. Because them say, Lord, don't send a man for them yet. And in between time, all energy is directed to Jesus. Now you see black man is suffering at the hands of Jesus because Jesus invade black man's house and come turn the head of his household. Can you imagine that? I as an African man who traditionally is the head of my household, now I'm being told that I am no longer the head. But this Christ Jesus now has taken over my head, taken over my house, taken over my wife, control my children. You think about that? That I have no more regard in my house. When I talk, them say, well, you don't mean nothing because the Lord did say. You know, and the woman telling me, no, I don't have no power anymore because Jesus said. And even if I want a little sex, I have to come through Jesus first. So I'm saying, no, we have to wake up to this imagery. And the women in particular must recognize that black family has been divided by Jesus. And I grieve to know that I have a woman and she loves another man more than me. And I don't think any woman wants to have a man who loves another woman more than she. So why should we tolerate with this Jesus? Yeah, why me as black man must have a black woman and before me can deal with her, me have to honor Jesus first. You know, so I have a woman that checked me for years, you know. And guess what happened now? She don't want to give me the something, guess what happened? Just to me now come to Jehovah. Yeah, man, she said, boy, I man, I love you, you know, but I do something, you know. But boy, I have to deal with Jehovah for well, me not deal with a man before me deal with a woman. Me not deal with a woman through no man. I am saying black man and black woman. It's about time we begin to look at each other in the eye. Level at each other. Look at the offspring. I realize that there's no force in between us. It is I and I as the parents. We don't need a spiritual father because if that is the case, then I would rather call upon a spiritual mother. And we don't hear about Mother God. Yeah? They don't make man pray to Mother God and the woman pray to Father God. No, them drop the woman out of that praying. The thing lopsided, you know. A years now, me don't pray to Father God, you know. Because Father under pressure. And because I know of the divinity and the unity of the male and the female, there is Mother God. I'm not talking about Mary now, you know. No, that was Joseph and Mary, you know. I'm talking about Mother God in the divinity. The way you have Father God. And maybe God is a family name, you know. G-O-D-D. So yeah, Mother God and Father God. And then we have probably a brother God and an uncle God. Maybe God is a surname of an owner of a plantation. Yes, you're on God's plantation. Hey, I'd rather return to Africa. Metamorphosis. Hail of Obi-Wan, where I said the matters are deep. Well, you know, the consciousness goes beyond the surface. It goes beyond the unconscious. It goes beyond the subconscious, and it goes to the depth of the collective racial conscious mind. That's where we have to go deep within the I. Obi-Wan, yes I am. Hail of Valerie up in Springbank and Dirks, past the Gardens, and Sir D and Titchfield Hill, and Mystic in the View. Stay cool.
A lot of needy folks too. Tell me, preacher man, do you love people from your heart? I'm not saying that you don't, but now's the time you make a start. Oh, you can't just tell the people one thing, and then you turn around and contradict the same thing, and turn us into clowns. False preacher. Hey, preacher man, I know you got something going on. Why you gotta make a story when another Sunday coming down? You owe it to the people.
Yeah, this is Afrocentric views on news on the Metamorphosis, where perceptions are presented that are from an Afrocentric Rastafari perspective. Yes, and from this view, and I look out into the planet, grounded in Rastafari, and historically grounded, and spiritually grounded in being black. So when we look at the world now, particularly in the region that is called the Middle East and Africa, we see points of conflict that are leading to war. The recent assassination or killing of the in Libya of the American ambassador has opened the way for the Americans to send warships to Africa in an attempt to rectify the situation. And as Obama said, make no mistake, and I'm quoting Obama, he said, make no mistake, justice will be done. So Africans will feel white man justice again. Yes, we shall feel the white man's justice. And in that justice, there's a lot of destruction and demolition bent upon revenge. But there's a subplot. Because Africa, of course, is the motherland of all creation and of all energy. And all the European countries, the Americans and the Chinese, are seriously focused on recapturing Africa. It's only the African people who are not interested in owning the continent. Because we don't want to own the continent. We want to go to heaven. We want to own heaven. So we abandon the earth for the Europeans and the Chinese to fight over. But be very careful. Then there is Syria. Nobody seems to be able to stop the war in Syria. Yes, they went into Libya and they stopped the Libyan movement. They went into Ethiopia. Why? Is that because there's no oil in Syria? Yet people are dying. No democracy there. Why? I thought democracy would simply go in and show its face. But democracy is another illusion. Then there's Israel. Israel has claimed that Iran is 7 months away from making a nuclear bomb. 7 months away. And in their concern, they think something should be done to prevent them from getting there. So it's within 7 months' time, something going on. Because Israel will not sit around and allow the Iranians to develop this bomb. Neither will the Americans, neither will the Englishmen. So you see, we here on the Rock, and black people in general, we are looking out into a potential war between the Iranians, the Muslim world, and the Christian world. That's the great divide. And so when we look across the earth, in all of its struggles for land and resources, we find that these two religious organizations are behind most of the wars. What are they fighting for? Not the kingdom of God, but for the kingdom of the earth. They're fighting for the oil and the minerals and the platinum and the diamonds. All of these things are in hell, because there's a hell is under the earth. So the white men are fighting for hell, and we are fighting for heaven. Where our heaven is, way off the planet earth. So the thing is out of whack. And then now, to give you more evidence of this Muslim-Christian struggle, the whole Muslim world now is in a total uprising because the Americans made a film that show the Prophet Muhammad as a little girl's man. And the entire Muslim world is in a rage. There's a global Muslim protest right on now. No, you see, we black people, we're not protest about nothing more than a day now. And we're done. We don't have anything that deep and passionate that we'll sacrifice ourselves for. The Muslim religion is not a Christian religion. The Muslims believe in the earth. The Muslims believe in the land of now. The Christians promote the land of the future. So when these two ideologies clash, enough blood run. And it's been happening for thousands and thousands of years. What puzzles me is that Lord God just watch everything. This one Lord God that the Muslims pray to and the Christians pray to, just stand by and watch thousands of Muslims and Christians get slaughtered. This is a very sick type of God. This is a psychopathic type of God. This is a blood that allows bloodletting, mass murder, and all genocide. So we black people know, it's about time we let go the Christian and the Muslim God, Load them, load that God, because that's a God of barbarity. It's a peace. If peace is what we're searching for, and you don't have peace in yourself, then you can never find peace. But Christianity doesn't promote peace in yourself, because it says only when you die you can rest in peace. So what I'm telling you, we can't live in peace. We have to die to rest in peace. These two religions, Christianity and Islam, we need to take a break from those religions. Then you know that there's a group called Forbes 400. These are the people who define the wealthy people in the planet Earth. And you know that them just declare 161 billionaires. I wonder I hear this now, you know. Forbes say that there are 161 billionaires. And they say out of the 161, one black person in it. Yeah, guess who? Oprah Winfrey. She is the token of the Society of Philanthropists. These are people who make billions of dollars. No, imagine now we are struggling with minimum wage on here. Yeah, and we can find bus fare and a man a big 20 cents, $20 for go up on the bus. And you go up on the bus and a man a takes him short $5. And you have another group of people in the world that they are billionaires. So where is the justice and the equity between the Christians and the Muslims and the Lord God that rules them all? The thing lean up wrong. The thing is totally unfair. And yet people believe that when they die, it will get better. This is a Greek trick, you know. So we suffer peacefully. Malcolm X says like when you go to the dentist and you have a toothache. And him say, dentist, help me. And he say, don't worry, I have something for you. And I was going a little kit and come up with a thing called Novocaine. And just give a shot. And he said, the Novocaine so keen, he must go in your teeth now, you know. And he said, rockle, and pull out. You just suffer, you know, but you suffer peacefully. Because the job is done. So we are said to the ones now. Wealth, resources is what we need. We can't hide behind dogma and think that this planet Earth is not the real place. This is where we live. This is where we must prosper. This is where we must grow our families. This is where we have to leave our descendants. The people who are aspiring for a pie in the sky, they should just all die quickly then. Those people should not be holding on to life. So there's a paradox. There's a paradox in terms of people wanting to live forever, and at the same time, people want to go to heaven. All of a conflict in the mind, you know. And we have to resolve those things if we want to sort out our state of affairs within economics. Because you see, money is an important entity. Money makes certain things move. But if you hold on too much to religious doctrines, you end up holding the belief that money is the root of all evil. You know what the rich people in the Forbes 400 say? They say poverty is the root of all evil. Yeah, poverty, the thing that Christians glorify and embrace. Because they have been tricked to believe that the poorer you are and the more you suffer, it's a greater chance you have of entering into the kingdom. And I'm saying that king is dumb. For real.
Eternal flames of hell, hellfire. I said doctrines of the falling angel. No water to quench eternal flames of hell, hellfire. Earth crisis, earth crisis. All this suffering, earth crisis.
Yeah, the planet is in a certain amount of disarray. Years ago, it was a struggle between Russia and America. Now it's one power running the world, one big brother. Yes, unity amongst themselves, and disunity amongst the black people. We have to change it around. Within the same, within our new section, But guess what happened now? Off the planet to go now, up to Mars. Say, within the exploration, the thing on the Mars is called a curiosity. What the curiosity has uncovered at one of the poles is that there is dry ice snowflake. I want to listen to this now, On Mars, they have discovered snowflakes, dry ice. What that is leading to now, is the revelation in a very short time that water, or the building blocks of water, are going to be found on Mars. So you see, when they tell us those things, we can't question them, because we don't have no black researcher. We don't have no idea what them tell me. Next thing them tell us, them find God on Mars. And we have to believe it, because we don't know what's happening there. One thing I know for sure is the planet Mars. If we are on it, as them say, and they begin to explore it, it's going to open a whole new discussion on life in the solar system. Because if they uncover that life was once on Mars, then Mars could have been the first place that God made man then. So what happened on Earth? The whole biblical story going to mash up. Right? The whole genesis of Earth is going to be destroyed by the technology that has revealed in this new information. They say, you Christian people, I'm sorry for you, I'm sorry for you. Because even me questioning now this whole idea of how they tell us that hell is under the earth. It make me ask a question, what is under Mars? What is under Saturn? What is under Pluto? What are in these other planets? As a matter of fact, how we know those planets are hollow? Or even solid? We don't know what is inside of them, We don't know if those planets have life forms inside it. We must extend our imaginations, our creative imagination, and realize that the Europeans and the Japanese are investing so much research in understanding what's on Mars means that it's something that we, the black people, must also know. We can't be disconnected and keep our heads in the sand and believe that there's nothing happening in space and be so preoccupied with this God and devil struggle that we're not realizing the struggle between races. It's not a struggle between God and devil, because in that struggle, they tell us that none of those forces can win. Neither God can defeat the devil, nor the devil can defeat God. There could really be twin brothers and twin sisters. Same force, like a coin. Two separate sides of the coin. One we call God, one we call the devil. One side we call good, one side we call evil. We could even say one side we call male, one side we call female. So the liberation through knowledge comes through recognizing that science and technology is breaking the barriers of religious teachings. And we have to get in line and realize that the practicality is reality. The fantasy is imaginary. The justice system locally, the revenge system in the church, the religious war that we are feeling right now between Christianity and Muslims, all of these things play an impact on our own consciousness. So if we're going to hold on to religion, why do we not think about a religion that is based upon our blackness? So guess what happened now? To really understand our blackness, the next segment now, when we go beyond the sports, we're going to try to make that separation between light and darkness to allow our listeners to get a view of what really is blackness.
And watch your Babylon fall.
Gambrado. Yeah, as we're going to the local section of the news now, you know, I am also a part of the education system here, and it grieves me to know that a teacher, you know, teacher in the high school system here, man, I stand up in front of the blackboard and teach and just drop, boop, dead. Just like that, you know. I mean, condolences to the teaching staff at that particular school in the corporate area and the teacher's family, but I want to speak to the stress and the distress that really our teachers in general face, and the pressures of teachers to so-called make students pass, when oftentimes the students are not even interested in learning anything. And so oftentimes the teacher takes up the burden of the family, because the responsibility of a lot of children in Jamaica have been turned over to the schools. And so the teacher now not only has to teach, he has a counsel, he has a father, he has a mother. He has to do all these things that the parents have abandoned. And so when the teacher drops dead, boop, school goes on, and suddenly we recognize that teachers are not indispensable, and that teachers are easily replaceable. And so it forces one to really think deep about the commitment. And it's a problem right here in Jamaica. Not just among teachers, but amongst people who are employed by the government. Because the government, because it has been tied up with these IMF people now, they cannot move the wages of the workers. But what do you think is moving in Jamaica rapidly is the cost of goods and services. It is skyrocketing to a point wherein most persons now, I think, are eating less. The malnutrition is creeping up on Jamaica. Side effect and its influence. In other words, it's affecting the population in the school. It's affecting the people, even the police force. You know, you see, as much as the police is this enemy now of the people, originally they should be protecting. It is not easy for a policeman to go out in Jamaica now and be a policeman, you know, because really and truly, enough man wants a policeman dead. It's unfortunate. And at the same time, now, to protect himself, the policeman decided to shoot first and ask questions later. So we're breeding up a type of terrorism here on the island that is very, very dangerous. The women are afraid of the police. Recently, the policeman gets so angry, him shoot pregnant woman and sister. And then we hear the policeman got gunned down yesterday. And then we hear the former SSP, him get gunned down too. And it's just one set of gunman business going on in Jamaica, you know. It's one set of violence. And what you have to recognize now, that guns, as we know, are not made in Jamaica. Guns are imported, coming through the ports, coming through the many, many points of entrance in the island. The place is becoming unmanageable. But not because black people live here, no. It's because we have inherited a legacy of piracy. We have inherited a legacy of wickedness coming from the Port Royal days. I don't want to buy things as black people come here with it, you know. Don't let us believe that we come here with our violence, you know, we are always wicked, you know. Remember that this island is the wickedest city in the world, controlled by white people. The black man never did run the place, you know. A pure white man and the queen used to run Port Royal. And so the wickedness of this island is not something that is endemic in black people. It was forced upon us. This brutality and this violence, it looks as if now we have perfected the art of this violence. So beheadings, shooting of pregnant women. There's a time in Jamaica where the woman was sacrosanct. She was always protected. Now the unborn is now a victim of our violence. Solutions, culture.
Sign sure. But if you are in pretense, you're on the wrong side of the fence. Fire burning, burning, burning. Feel the fire burning. Fire burning, burning, burning. Feel the fire burning. Fire burning, burning, burning. Feel the fire burning. Fire burning, burning, burning. Feel the fire burning.
Yeah, it was Afrocentric views and news. Jamaica is a very unusual place, you know, because a man tell me a couple of days ago, say Jamaican people don't fling stone off a mango when it's good. Well, I ask him repeat it again. The Jamaican people don't fling stone after mango with the pan tree. We're rotten. Let me say what that mean. Him say, it's when man fling stone after you, means there's something good there though. If you never do nothing good, he wouldn't fling nothing after you. Yeah, that thing we kind of look into, because within my association with sports, as we're about to go into it now, people tend to look at sports from a perspective wherein if the team is doing well, the players are excellent. The team is not doing well, the coach is an idiot. Yeah, that thing we have to work out in how we perceive and pass on credit and things in sport. But all I say to the one them know is if I want to pick on you, and I want to harass you, and I want to wake up bad mind you in Jamaica, just respect your talent. That's something you have. Something you have positive. Why the person take up this attitude. So here it is, just ignore them and develop the thing where you have. That's something where you have that is positive. Metamorphosis, going into sports.
The way that Maradona has been able to do. And he's helping England again here. This is a brilliant run. It's one of the World Cup great goals.
They get away first time. Tyson Gay right alongside Usain Bolt, but here he goes, streaking away already. It's Bolt all the way. He's looking round at Gay. Watch the clock. It's goal for Bolt. And again, he's done it again. A new world record for Usain Bolt.
Yeah, we may hear about this in 2016. We may play back this tape in 2016 and say the same thing, you know, that the world still belongs to Bolt. Yes, sports and the metamorphosis. Of course, we want to welcome the Olympians who have returned. And these Olympians that I'm speaking about now are the Superman and Superwoman them. These are the Para-Olympians. They're the people who are considered disabled, having physical disabilities. But they have their own Olympics. And out of Jamaica, we had a gold medal. We had a gold medal in Alfonso Cunningham. We had really three representatives, Cunningham, Tanta Campbell, and Sylvia Grant, a female. And we have to pay much, much respect, because these people are considered to be super now, you know. Because they have these issues with their physical makeup. Some have one leg, some have one arm, some have a piece of this, some piece of that. But out of all of that, Jamaica was able to secure a gold medal. So you see, we are really a sporting country. The power of this country rests in our sporting facilities, capacities. What we really lack is the facilities. Then, of course, the Racers Club, which is the home of the sprinters. I saw a headline that it's no longer a club, but it's now a farm. There's a farm, and they're going to breed these world-class sprinters. And I'm saying more power. Because, you know, when black people left the plantation, we had no education. We had our bodies. And we were able to use our bodies now to become millionaires. Fantastic. Now, I have a problem with the Pope. And the Pope has now invited the Honorable Usain Bolt. Bolt, better watch this one now, you know. The Pope wants Bolt to come to talk about Christianity. He wants Bolt to support Jesus. Hey, you so in. Just tell him, says Rastafari and even here, my brother. Because suddenly now, Christendom is looking for spokespersons. And so they have invited Bolt to come to this place to come to talk about his relationship. And I just hope Bolt was going to tell him about His Majesty. Yeah, and load them, make them and run them. Because they're trying to use black people who are in high regard to maintain their white supremacist ideology. And sometimes we're not careful enough to listen. So both, be aware, my brethren, because now that you're there, they're certainly trying to make much mileage out of you. Now, as we move away from athletics into the bigger ball, we have to realize something about sports. That in a country like Jamaica, in the Caribbean, where the people are really, the strength of the people really rests in their culture, we cannot ignore the playing side of culture, the play part of culture. That part of culture is what has been the redemption for black people. We'll be able to box, we'll be able to run, we'll be able to play basketball, we'll be able to play all various sports to change our economic conditions. We like those who govern the society. Just make a little bit more effort to put the infrastructure in place, develop the sporting potential of this island. So, for example, every high school should have a proper track. Yeah, every high school, because the high school is our factory. So why not equip the factory that these workers can be more efficient and we can produce more world-class athletes? Now for the football, because that's serious. Yeah, reggae boys time. You know, this island, though we are a track country, we've always been a track country in the first world category from as early as 1948, 1952. We've been producing Olympic champions, gold and silver medals. Yes, so we are a number one athletic country. You see the football thing now, this is where the love is of the grassroots, the massive are attracted to the big ball because the big ball carries a dynamic activity. Yeah, a dynamic activity. 11 men combining against 11 other men, battling over a leather ball full of air. How do they move it around, getting the opponent's goal? It's a type of war. And in that war, nations show their skills and the level of organization. So at the national level now, and the international level, international football and sports become a battle between nations. They're not really firing guns and bombs, you know, but they're firing shot and fist and kick, and it's a different type of war. No, the football is magnetic. It's contact, it's emotional, it's psychological, it's spiritual. The World Cup is the event that brings the top football nations in the world together every 4 years. It's the highest stage of sporting activity for a single sport. The Olympics, of course, is all sports come together. But the World Cup is just about football. It's probably the only team where national teams are represented at such a broad level. Over 200 nations play the World Cup or participate. We are in Jamaica now. We're in a little zone called CONCACAF. Central and North America and South America, Central America, North America, and the Caribbean. Out of this region, 3 teams will qualify automatically to the great stage. In 2014 in Brazil. Our history shows that we made it once in 1998, and from that day till then, we have been dreaming of returning. At this moment, the national team is in the heat of battle. We're in a 4-team playoff. The top 2 teams qualify to the next final group of 6. The Jamaican scene is very, very tricky right now. Right? We are involved with the United States and Guatemala and Antigua and Barbuda. Now, a couple of weeks ago, history was created in terms of Jamaica versus America. In the National Stadium, on a Friday, 2 Fridays ago, I think, for the first time, Jamaica defeated America at international soccer. And there's a great uproar in the country. History was made. The coach was the greatest coach in Jamaica. The coach will be the coach for life. He had done what nobody's ever done before. Ray Jamaica. But people, it was a 2-match series, home and away. So we played America the Friday night, and we were scheduled to play them the following Tuesday. Now, to be short and brief, we were heavily defeated 1-0. Why I say heavily defeated? It was a match where the traffic was one way. The man licked upright about 3 times. The goalie was super goalkeeping. Without the goalkeeper and the upright, it could easily have been an 8-0 defeat. No. The coach, the same coach who was being boosted up as the greatest coach in Jamaica, suddenly became the worst coach Jamaica ever have. And suddenly Whitmore was an idiot, and him shouldn't change a man there, and just put on a man there instead. All of that. You know, this is the point I want to speak to in this segment. I heard Whitmore's remarks. Whitmore said that the team lost because we lack resources. I chose to explore deeper what Whitmore meant by resources, because people are saying, well, look, if you beat the man on Friday night, or you lack resources for Tuesday, what type of resources are you lacking? And you know, to be honest, because I too involved in coaching, I'm the last person to criticize a coach because I know how it go. And I took time out to really see what I was talking about. And you know the man of a point? Here it is. You see, we play America Friday night, and we defeat America 2-1. We're going to play America on a return match on Tuesday in America. The American team at the end of the match jumps on a private plane and flies back to America. So they get back to America Friday night. And Saturday morning, the Americans start preparing to play us on Tuesday. And they can train Saturday morning. And they can train Saturday evening. And they have Sunday morning. You see, in the meantime, the Jamaican team don't leave Jamaica yet. And when we do leave, the team is split in 2. And half of the team arrive, and then the next half arrive. By the time the full team arrive, they're on Tuesday already. No, it was totally impossible, I think, to defeat America without the level of energy that the team showed on Friday. And the lack of resource is really lack of capacity to travel instantly. And so if you watch a game again, the Americans overpower the Jamaican team with sheer energy, sheer pace, just consistent pace and pressure that crack the Jamaican team. And they also had the 9/11 hype. They were celebrating 9/11, so the red, white, and blue was running through them blood. And under that environment, the national team lost. And so to qualify for the World Cup now, it means we have to beat Guatemala in October. Anything less than a victory there means the campaign is over, and the reality will settle in that our foundation is not there, and to get to the World Cup, we need to have a strong Olympic program. So we'll leave it, the Reggae Boys for now. The Premier League in Jamaica is showing signs of a new team coming with enthusiasm. It's called Savannah. But I want Savannah remember Benfica. And I want Benfica remember Georges. All of these teams came into the league with great enthusiasm. And because of their weak structures in the community, eventually the teams were pulled apart. I hope Savannah will put the proper infrastructure in place, that we don't have a repeat of what happened with the Benfica scenario. The JFF also claims that they're going to remodel local football. They're going to have less clubs. They're going to introduce franchises. All of this we await anxiously. And finally, at the schoolboy level now, the Manning Cup and the Costa Cup, which I call in Jamaica our Premier League. It is our Premier League because it is the most intense competition in the country. It is a football competition that the most effort is gone into in its preparation. Most schoolboy teams who are in the Final Four start preparing sometime as early as February to March. The player competition begins in September. As high-level preparation, a lot of investment in time and money, medicine. It is our semi-professional league being disguised as high school soccer. And until we face the reality that schoolboy football is nearly professional, that the players should develop the proper attitude there to become good club players, then we're really fooling ourselves, claiming that it is high school soccer. It is the top of the line football. You see, locally now, in Portland, later on in the afternoon, there's going to be a derby. Port Antonio Comprehensive versus Titchfield School. This is the big match in Portland, in Port Antonio. Titchfield School has failed to win a game so far. Comprehensive is on a 2-game winning streak. What a clash. Some people say Titchfield will die. Some people say Compre shall hold their own. Show up at the park tomorrow and see it live. My team is over in St. Thomas. My team is St. Thomas Technical. We started off the season with an impressive 4-0 victory, followed by 2 very, very tough 0-0 drawers. And so our team is joint in first place. Then another important game tomorrow. A good victory tomorrow will take us maybe clearer of the second place team. And the competition goes on. So the schoolboy thing is on. And the DaCosta Cup is the rural competition. And the Manning Cup is for the corporate area. And all systems go. Metamorphosis. Sports.
So dry, water thirsty you.
Yeah, this section is called Skin Deep. It's called Skin Deep. Black anatomy, black physiology. Yeah, we want to separate light from darkness, that we can see our blackness. You see light? We have to begin to understand blackness by understanding what light is. Light is a very, very important phenomenon and energy. Actually, when we think about Earth and the planet that we're living on, it is light that is life. Because without light, there is no life. They tell us that water is life, you know. But you see, if there's no light, there can be no life. Yeah, light is the source of all energy. And within our living space and within the time that we're living, it is the sun that is the ultimate source of all light. No, the blackness we want to explore now, but I'm showing the item that we have to understand light and darkness before we can sight up what is blackness. So we're looking at light, knowing that light is really a source of energy. Without light, the planet doesn't function. Without light, everything is frozen. Yeah? It's light that makes the green plants grow. Light is a source of energy. Now, what is this energy and what does it look like? When we explore light, we find that light is really made up of vibrations or waves of energy that resonate on the optical lens, on the optic nerve of the eye. So through the optic nerve, we're able to perceive this thing called light. So it is made up of vibrations, and these vibrations are vibrating at different rates. Each level of vibration is called a hue. And it is these hues now that we call colors. So when we explore the makeup of light, we find that it is made up of hues, vibrations. And these vibrations reflect on the retina of the eye. And so we see colors. The colors that we see are the colors that appear in the rainbow. Here are the 7 colors that are diffracted out of light. Okay. So we see that within light there are colors. We are also going to make the point also that if you remove light, you have darkness. So darkness is really the absence of light. We don't talking about blackness yet, you know. We have not touched blackness yet. We're looking at light and darkness. So we're saying light is a energy that manifests itself through waves that have various vibrations. We say darkness is the absence of light. What then is blackness? Blackness is a source and the foundation from which light emerges. The light emerges out of a background, and this background is blackness. There's a difference between blackness and darkness. I want them try and penetrate the notion carefully now, because this thing has been hidden. It has been totally covered up in a sort of intellectual way that we can't find the blackness. I would think that blackness is the same thing as darkness. I would say that darkness is the absence of light. And what blackness is the foundation and the source of all energy. So light comes out of blackness. Yeah, the light emerges from blackness. And if you remove light altogether in its absence, you have a dark situation. It's a very subtle way to look at it, you know. But blackness is not darkness. Blackness is a totality. In other words, no. All things come from blackness. What the European is calling it now, he's calling it dark energy. And he's searching for dark energy. Because energy is not only light. You see it? Light is just one form of energy, but there's an even more powerful form of energy from which light comes out of the blackness. So you see, we the black people now, we have to understand ourselves. Yeah, we are not dark-skinned people, you know. We are black people. And why we are black is because we absorb all of the light. And in the absorption of light, only black can absorb lightness, absorb the property called light. It's a funny little language talk, but I introduce it to the item, and the man and the woman and the people who see themselves as black, ask yourself the question, are you black? What is it that makes me black? And how do I define my blackness? Because look here now, is it the people who hate their black skin? The people who hate their black skin begin to develop what we call now psychosomatic ailments. Because psychologically, they don't like themselves. So self-hatred is a very serious sort of problem facing black-skinned people. And some of these people try to remove the blackness with chemicals now, thinking that if they remove the blackness, they remove their sins. Because the Christian doctrine tells you that you're actually black like sin. And that hell is a place of darkness. And we all get paranoid. But I said to the ones, you see, if black was so terrible, the people of European features would not spend so much time in the sun. They would not spend all that money and investment trying to let the sun sort of blacken their skin.
You got to know who you are. You got to know what you're for. Yeah. Like am I, why should I stray? My roots and my culture are so me a go stay. Like am I, like who must I say? Martin Luther King or Marcus Garvey. Like am I, why should I stray? My roots and my culture are so me a go stay. Like am I, like who must I say? Martin Luther King or Marcus. Here's some phalanx out there who I really adore. Love my niggas and that's for sure. We never had enough and so they fight for more. They keep on pounding on the freedom door. Just not the same since they came. Black integrity and they stood for the name. Arrive at the aim though they never got the fame. Afterwards it came. Black am I, why should I stray? My roots and my culture are so me a go stay. Black am I, like who must I say? You see him what we did the bitch the other day. Black am I, why should I stray? My roots and my culture are so me a go stay. Black am I, like who must I say?
Yes, this is Skin Deep, and I'm on Blak here telling the ones that we have to make the distinction between our blackness, what is considered to be what is dark. Dark is the absence of light. Blackness is absorption of all light. It is a foundation. It is a source from which light emerges. The vibrations of energy comes out of the blackness. And for the Christian mind, Genesis tells you that there was darkness and there was light. Just like we have been tricked to think that darkness means evil, and evil represents blackness. We have been told that light represents white and white is right. Yeah, it's the early teachings. That's why we hate our black skin. We equate evil with blackness and think that things that are of light are good. The greatest error we have made is equate light with being white. Because light is natural. Yes, light coming out of the blackness is natural. It is not white. Metamorphosis. Going through.
About black man supremacy.
Weak.
Yeah, Metamorphosis coming down to another closing. And Jacko was here and he wasn't here. Why I tell you. I want to thank Post for sitting in, being part of the engineering force. The man called Louis Lepke. Yes, helping to steer the Metamorphosis through another edition. Give thanks to those who have been listening here and abroad, those who are close by, those who are way out as far as Japan, Africa, United Kingdom, Asia. Give thanks for being a part of the process. And of course to that station in New Jersey. Well, I mean, I tell you, the man himself I carry live every Friday night. Metamorphosis breaking out into greater metamorphosis. Yes, I'm on Blak say, heal. Prosperity to those who are listening, within the family, within the workplace. Give thanks and praise. Rastafari I live. I'm on Blak. Out till that time.
This is StylzFM 96.1 on your FM dial.
Driving me out of my mind.
get defined. No, every time you're eyes in my mind, I get the funny feeling rushing up and down the spine.